Lovely. Thank you very much. So we are halfway through the year, ladies and gents. So we're in June. Obviously, this is our 50th year. So we're celebrating with 50 sustainable webinars to celebrate that fabulous milestone for ground control. And we're 25 sessions in, which is amazing. I can't believe that we've had that many already and learned so much information from so many different people. So we wanted to take the opportunity today to have an update across the piece from the Evercare team. So it'll be a little bit of an update from me around the webinars. Brian's going to give us an update on the green gains for this week, which is fantastic. And then Kat and Chloe are also going to give us an update on some of our spend and our commitment to our corporate social responsibility and our volunteering, and some information on our TOMs. So kind of the information we collect around all the great things that we're doing to support our clients, our customers, our communities, that all come into contact with ground control. So to start off with, ladies and gents, I'm just going to share my screen. If you bear with me for 1 second, you will see my exceptional slide today. Bear with me. Can everybody see my slide?
Yeah, we can see that.
Let me just do. Okay, everyone see? Fantastic. So as you will see, 25 sustainability webinars. And of those, 946 people so far have attended, which is an absolutely astounding amount. So well done, everybody that's managed to fit us in their busy work. It's amazing that so many people have shown such a commitment and an interest to the webinars and to learning a little bit more about sustainability and how we can all collectively have an impact. So this just gives you a snapshot of some of the things that we've covered so far. So we've talked with Sophie and with Livy about sustainability for ground control and worldwide. We've talked about our carbon net zero targets and biodiversity net gain. We've discussed volunteering opportunities and social value. Liv gave a great session on greenwashing and how to avoid being caught up and sucked into the things that we don't want to get involved with. We had a great session on plastic pollution and how we can reduce our plastic use and single plastic. Water reduction, so obviously have that great session around all the things that we can do around that, and that was one for me. One of my takeaways from there was around how much we lose through a leaky loo. That was my biggest one coming away from the water reduction session. Fantastic session from Octopus Energy, who came along to chat to us about all the different things that we can do to make savings when that hideous energy hike hit us over the winter. We had a great session from Zoe on sustainable gardening and chatted about the Big Garden Birdwatch. We had a session from the Bee Conservation Society. Another amazing takeaway for me there was the fact that I had no ideas that flowers were positively or negatively charged. I thought that blew my mind as that fact. Sustainable fleet and equipment from Javi, which was a great session on where we're moving to with that. We chatted about World Environment Day, supply chain sustainability school came in to see us, as did the Wild and Wetland Trust. My takeaway from there was just how much wetland we have lost over the years and how we're going to reintroduce that back to capture some of that carbon moving forwards. Another session from Liv on sustainable fashion, and a great one from Alison around zero spend and her journey with that. And then obviously our brilliant session with Chris around wildfell. So that's all the things that we've been doing. Those are some of my takeaways. I'm just going to escape out of there and stop sharing, if that's okay with everybody. And I wanted to pass the mic over to Brian and Chloe and Kat, and just sort of to get your takeaways from the sessions. And then if anyone else wanted to put anything in the box, or to put a hand up, or to just shout out if you wanted to, what any special takeaways that you've had. So Brian, passing the baton over to you first of all.
Yeah, thank you, Justine. And look, let me just say thank you to you and team for organising all these lunch and learns. I think I've been really impressed by the amount of information that's been shared. I found them really useful. I hope most of you on the meeting session now have as well. And I hope we're going to. I'm convinced we're going to have more interesting stuff going forward. So Justine, thank you very much, and it's been great and a really good initiative, by the way. Well done. So in terms of me personally, I think there's some personal things as well as some sort what I call more macro big things. So which shops to shop in and which shops to avoid, frankly, because it was quite interesting. I was quite powerfully struck by Liv's fairly recent session on the shops, because For those of you that don't know, I'm married and got 4 daughters, so seeing the fashion cycle go through which shops when is quite an interesting journey in any case. And I look with horror at some of the frequent deliveries that we get at home, and the ones which should go on the banned list from Liv. So that one actually struck home particularly hard, actually. I've been working with Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust for quite a while now. I'm really impressed by their endeavour and ambition to put 100,000 hectares of wetland back into the UK because of the losses, and ground control generally is getting behind them, and you'll hear more about that either at Green Gains or through Green Gains next week if you're not actually going personally. So there's a lot to come out of there. And we've also worked quite closely with Bumblebee Conservation Trust recently, and I'll continue to do so either through the school or through Wildfell or other places. So my whole I suppose, appreciation of some of the interconnectedness of nature, and what goes on in my garden, my local school, my local park, and other things has been really heightened, as well as the personal shopping habits. And I loved Alison's 7 habits of a good sort of corporate citizen way back at the start of the year. So those are a few of my thoughts. I know Kat or Chloe or whoever's going next, but they were great. Thanks, Justine.
Pleasure. Kat, did you want to go next?
Wait. Other Kat's on.
I can instead if you want.
That's all right. Chloe, you go, just in case Kat's not with us.
Sorry, I have to realize my phone's ringing as well. So I'm just going to do a very, very quick update on TOMS. So TOMS, in case you haven't heard of it before, is how we are measuring our social value, so the things that we are contributing. So that includes things as varied as donations that we make, or the match funding, volunteering hours, as well as things like we get some value for driving number of miles driven in electric vehicles. We get value for offering social payments and placements, graduate schemes, apprenticeships, that kind of thing. And there's lots of other things, right down to donating electrical equipment, for example, when it's to schools and so on. All of those kind of things. Everything that we do in totality as part of supporting community, supporting the environment, supporting the world around us, essentially. And it all goes into a spreadsheet and measures. And what's great about TOMS is that it gives a proxy value to the things that you do, even when there's not a financial value. So, for example, with providing an apprenticeship, obviously there is a cost to the business of that, but it's not actually a paid cost. And in turn, we get sort of some value contributed back to, attributed back to us as part of that. So, at the end of 2023 year, 22-23 year, sorry, I was really having to think then about what the last financial year was. We did update at the end of the year and I said we were at 241,000, but that was actually just before the last of people came back into me. And luckily, for a nice big round number, we managed to hit 250,000 at £723 of social value in 22-23, which is absolutely amazing. A really great first start to that TOMS reporting, and something we can be really proud of, and great timing for that. We're now going to add that onto our website so it can be seen externally as well. At the moment, if you haven't seen it, you can go onto the Pulse and see it. I haven't updated it on the Pulse lately, I'm not going to lie, so it is a little out of date, but that gives you an idea of how it works and all the types of things we capture. And one of the things I need help mostly from people in this business is telling us about what's there. So it'd be really fantastic if you could go and have a look at TOMS, look at the type of things we capture, and then tell us when it happens. Because, you know, one of my biggest contributors are Brian and Sam telling me stuff that they see on LinkedIn, because no one in the business, the people actually doing amazing things, do not necessarily tell us. So please just familiarise yourself with the categories and let me know about the amazing things that you guys are doing so that we can make sure that we capture those and share them with our clients and share them with the wider world. And
Thanks,
that is
Chloe.
probably it.
Fab. And just with regards to the volunteering, Amanda will frequently send out little messages to anybody who happens to be in a local area. But if you wanted to volunteer, you know, you can reach out and find volunteering opportunities yourself if you wanted to, where you're living. It can be something that's connected to ground control. It can be something that you're passionate about yourself. It should be something that you really want to become involved in. And you get your 2 days, obviously, that are part of your benefits package. They can be taken in hours, Chloe reliably tells me as well. So they don't have to be full days. You may want to volunteer an hour or 2 hours a week, taking shopping for somebody, you know, who is housebound, or helping someone out in your community. So don't feel that you're restricted by it having to be a full day twice a year. It could be done in hours. And you also get your amazing extra day this year, which is your community engagement day, to work with ground control's clients. So if you wanted to get involved in those, just let Chloe or Brian or myself know, and we can put you in touch with something that's happening with one of our clients in an area near you.
Yeah, can I just echo that again, Justine, how important that is? I mean, we regularly review our success in bids, proposals to work for customers, if you like. Some of you may not be familiar with the terminology, some of you of course will, but you know, we are regularly every day of the week sending out proposals to work with customers, and I cannot tell you how many of those come back with special requests for what are you doing in my local area, because so many people want to know that they love ground control, they love what we do, they love the fact that we're national. But one thing they'd all like us to do more of is show that the national presence doesn't undermine or in any way dilute the local presence. And therefore, the fact that we are now a much bigger company, my daughter reliably tells me it's about 1,044 employees, but it might have changed this week. It might go up or down a few. But you know, we're going 1,000 employees, all right, and we don't all live around Billericay or Leeds anymore, or Newcastle, right? There's loads of people spread across the country. Please, please, please fly the flag for ground control. You're all great ambassadors already, but we could do with more. And the more that you do locally, the better represented we are at showing that we are a local presence as well as a national capability. And that does help us win more work, by the way, and it does enhance our credibility locally. So just to echo Justine's point, and when you see stuff from Amanda or anyone else coming out, please can you just think about, do you know what? I could do those 2 or 4 hours, whatever it might be, and just clock it with either through Bob or with Chloe, and we'll get it registered. And then that feeds into what Francis and the rest of the people do for sharing all the good stuff that we do locally and nationally. All right. So thanks, Justine. Just sort of a please do more. You're doing a great job, but the more we do, the better we'll succeed in the future.
Fantastic. Thanks, Brian. So I just wanted to throw it out to the floor for anyone that has any comments or any takeaways or anything that they've managed to put in place from any of the webinars that has gone towards them reducing their personal carbon footprint or to being able to give back into community. So is there any volunteering that anyone's done or anything that anyone's put in place from any of the webinars that they wanted to share with the rest of the people on the webinar today?
Go on, Sam, you put your hand up.
I put my hand up first, didn't I?
You did.
So I think I'm the winner there. My apologies, I can't remember if it was one of these wonderful webinars that I've attended or an email directly from Amanda. But I thought the initiative to support the Billericay Food Bank was absolutely tremendous, and having that basket just inside the front door has frankly doubled my spend in Sainsbury. And I just think it's a wonderful thing that we can do as a big local employer to feed back to people in need in the community. So I was super happy and engaged by that.
Thanks, Sam.
Lovely.
Thanks for
Thank you,
sharing.
Sam.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Sam. And you know, the cost of living at the moment, as we know, there is a cost of living crisis. You know, everybody is feeling the pinch, and those who are from the lower end of the scale economically are really, really struggling. So anything that we can do to support, and the food bank is a fantastic initiative, and it really doesn't take that much effort, but it has a huge impact. So a great thing to do. So thank you so much to anybody that's managed to support by putting anything into the food bank there.
And so many colleagues are. It's really encouraging and heartening to see how that basket fills through the week. You know, we make the point about ground control no longer necessarily being a regional employer as it was based in Billericay, but the more we can do to push love back into that community, the better, I think.
Fantastic. Anyone else that wanted to share anything with any experiences that they've had or any takeaways they've taken from the webinars?
I mean, I have a question about the volunteering stuff and kind of those volunteering hours. In terms of the hours and I suppose the benefit that we're having within GC and kind of in local areas, as Brian said, is that only volunteering and charity work and stuff that we do within work hours, or is that just any volunteering that you might get involved with?
Chloe, I'll throw that one over to you to answer because you're the expert there.
So we are more than happy for you to share the things that you're doing, especially in terms of ideas around volunteering. But in terms of obviously taking time off, and also in terms of Tom's reporting, it has to be during time that we are paying you for it to count towards it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Neil.
I work 24/7, Chloe, so I'm fine.
And we do work flexible hours, remember, so our office opening hours are 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. So that does give us the stretch in between if it happened to fall within those hours. Kat, were you able to give us an update at all on spend, or would you like to save that for another week?
No, I can give you an update on spend. In regards to, say, the current quarter, so April, May and June, what we've done so far for any match funding for donations, it's been 5,000 over the course of this quarter, so which is good. Examples of those are sort of the Kew Gardens 10k run that some of the guys from Client Services did, so we match fund to support them. We've got some Just Giving with the penny appeal with Turkey and the Syria earthquake. Young Minds was another donation we did, so examples of those from individuals, employees within the business that
Fantastic,
are doing their own thing.
Brilliant. And I guess to update anyone on the call that isn't aware of the benefit of our matched funding across the business, it is one of the benefits that you receive as being a ground control employee, in that any fundraising that you do, ground control will match that fundraising up to the value of £500. So if you're raising funds and you reach that £500 total, we'll match that, and you would actually be able to deliver £1,000 to that charity of your choice. So it's a huge benefit to them. It's doubling what they would get, and that's for most small charities where every single penny counts at the moment. You know, that's a massive cash influx for them to be able to do even more good than they're doing already. So please do get involved. Thanks, Kat. Any special takeaways, Kat, from any of the webinars that you have kind of managed to put in place, or that have particularly impacted you, that you've remembered taking away?
Oh, you put me on the spot now, Justine.
Too many to mention, Kat. That's
there
what it is.
There is. Yeah, it is. They've all been, I think, for me, you know, beneficial. And we've all, I believe, all learned a lot from the takeaways, you know, especially looking at our own carbon footprint. For me, that was one of the key things that I looked at.
It is really interesting, isn't it? I've found myself shopping locally more and more for things that I don't have to travel too far for. I will now walk to the local shop as opposed to getting in the car and going, because I'm just acutely aware, even though I have an EV, every time I get in, there's electricity being used because I've had to charge it somewhere. So it's made me sort of as a person really conscious of everything I'm doing in my home life, which I love and I'm really proud of, because that's part of our GC values, is about, you know, innovating and embracing change. And with that vision statement that we have of, you know, wanting to leave the world in a better place than we found it, if we can all do a little something, that collectively will have a big impact on that climate change and reducing that carbon footprint. Brian, would you like to give us a quick A to Z of green gains? Would that be possible? Because I know that's coming up next week and everyone's really excited about it. So it'd be really good to hear who the headline acts are and what we're doing this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm even more delighted that Sam Roberts is on the in the meeting today. So Sam will no doubt put me absolutely right. But Green Gains, for those, if anyone doesn't know, Green Gains is an event that we host, we run, and this is our third year of doing so. It is really a gathering of people to think about how we as different parts of society can get together, work together, collaborate on the big themes around climate change, carbon reduction and nature recovery. and it's hosted in Billericay, and we go through a range of things to talk about, as I say, topical things that matter to us in terms of how we all impact the environment. So there's a brilliant collection of public sector, commercial sector, local people, as well as a bunch of staff and all that. So and it's really designed to show how ground control is operating and is doing things in a positive way, but recognises that we all have our part to play as part of the whole, and making sure that we start to think up in a more joined up way. So last year, one of the things we talked about was how we connect local sites to create nature corridors. So there might be Sainsbury's at one end of the road, there might be a school elsewhere on the road, there might be something else, and it's all in the same street that we provide service to. So each of those organisations is doing something individually, but not talking to each other. And so whilst we are thought leaders and facilitators on these days, we're also intending to be connectors. And that is to show how collaboration will generate far more collective thought and effort and amplify the sum of the parts. So it's great to see the progress that one shop here will make or a school here will make, but actually when you bring them together, it's a proper case of making 1 and 1 add 3 in a positive way for once. Right, not just in the way that I count my sales number for Jason or anything like that. And so the reality is it's a really good. In terms of what goes on the day, we will have, and this drives there is the thought leadership piece where we have keynote speakers. There is the collaboration where we have panel of experts from across industry, and we've got some great people coming this year. But the additional part that Sam and team have come up with this year is to say, well, sometimes it's great to talk top level, but we just need a bit more time on going deeper to stimulate action. And so this year we're adding to the thought leadership and collaboration piece, which is the keynote speakers and the panel. We're adding to it this year by having 4 breakout sessions where there's an opportunity to get into real detail with industry leaders around topics of real interest. It might be things like how do we alleviate and mitigate against floods by developing sustainable earnest urban systems, ponds or streams that go by roadsides, that sort of thing. So there are a range of things that will be of interest to sustainability leads, biodiversity leads, environmental leads at the organisations with whom we currently work and or would like to work, or public sector bodies like Essex County Council who have an interest in what we're all going to do together anyway. All right. We've got, I think, Sam, what's the current number? Around about 140 to 150 people, customers or guests coming on the day. Is that right?
Yeah, quite right, Brian. We've got 148 people registered this year, which, to give it some context, reflects against 124 people registered in 2022 and 96 registered in our inaugural year. So I'm displaying to Brian a very consistent 20% year-on-year growth, which makes both he and I very happy.
Exactly, Sam. Exactly. I won't say double it in this call, obviously, but not at all. Listen, it's great work, and the fact that it's growing in popularity and which is evidenced by attendance is testament to the fact that it's becoming more important as a thing, as in what do we all do to help with the environment, but also the fact that we are a fulcrum of thought and activity, and we are seen as people who people should be associated with. And I won't give any detail beyond this, but put it this way: we had to turn away some keynote speakers or people who would like to have been the keynote speaker this year because we just, in fact, last year we had one. We were proposing to have one keynote speaker this year. We've accommodated 2 as it is. We had other people who wanted to be the keynote speaker at the event. So that, I think, should show you that what we're doing is meaningful, relevant, topical, and that people want to get involved. And I've got people from the council wanting to create all sorts of reasons for wanting to be associated with it too. All right, so it's a fantastic event, well organised, well thought through by Sam and team. We hope next week will be as big a success, if not more than a success than last year. But for me, this is really you know, the lunch and learns are a spectacular way of showcasing all that we've done for the last 50 years and how we want to shape the world for the next 50 years. That's an ongoing thing. Green Gains is a one-off pièce de la résistance for the summit of all the good thinking coming together in one event. All right, so if you're not coming, cheer us on from the sidelines, think about us, will us on, whatever, pray for us, whatever you do in your life, but just let's hope the thing goes spectacularly well. And we continue to see some of the change that has already started, actually, and I think is going to continue next year and the year after and for the next 50 years based on our involvement and the people that we work for and work in association with around the UK. And some really impressive people coming. So we've got the two keynote speakers, just for interest for you guys for next week, are the CEO of Plant Life is coming out to talk to us, and the CEO of the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust. So we had them on a lunch and learn, I think middle of May, Justine, from memory. It was about that time scale, wasn't it? But Sarah Fowler, great, what a great name for a person who leads the Wildfowl Trust, Sarah Fowler as the CEO. She was born for that job, really, wasn't she? Anyway, she's the other keynote speaker. So talking about all things flora, and all things habitat creation for reducing and mitigating against carbon in terms of wetlands and the salt marshes that they were talking about. We couldn't have a better duo, really, in terms of people who are trying to be at the vanguard and sustaining change in the UK coming to speak to us next week, as well as the leaders of the breakout topics. So fantastic day ahead, really looking forward to it. And apart from it, a delight to be involved, I think it's a credit to 50 years of ground control's history and a precursor to 50 years to come.
It is. So, Brian, we have 25 people on the call today who there are 1,000 of us in ground control. We know that not everybody can turn up at Kim's. It's just not got the space for us, as well as the guests to all be there for Green Gains. What can we do to help celebrate Green Gains and amplify that message to get it out into the wider world through socials? Sam?
Yeah, well, I'm going to sort of hand that one to Sam, really, because Sam is the guru of social media, almost in the UK. We are so lucky to have someone who knows how, with yourself, Justine, in fact, knows how to present themselves in a way that is of a generation that is subsequent to my own.
It is very kind of you, Brian. It is absolutely Justine's crown to wear as the queen of social media, given that she has tens of thousands of LinkedIn. But fundamentally, what we will do over the course of the Green Gains program is continually update our LinkedIn account with content from the day. We don't expect there to be anything particularly controversial, exclusive, or unique, because this is an ongoing conversation about nature's recovery in the UK. We will, however, be the exclusive hosts of these guests. So my ask would be, and Brian, thank you for the opportunity to make it, is that everybody on this call, you should be following Ground Control's company page already, which will then push our content onto your newsfeed. The most powerful thing that you can do to propagate this news even further into the Ground Control following network, but also into yours, is to repost that content with a comment. If there's a triage, if you like, of engagement on LinkedIn, then we begin with a repost with a comment, because the LinkedIn algorithm looks at that and says, cool, people are interested in this and they're talking about it, so they push it further and deeper. So a repost with a comment would be hugely appreciated by all of us at GC.
Can I just you're on mute, but can I just check? Is there anyone on in this meeting that doesn't use LinkedIn? It's not. There's no reason. There's no negative. I'm just asking if there is anyone who isn't, because if you don't, get yourself on it. It's really useful. That's question one, and then question two is, for those of you that do you all repost and comment when Sam's team push stuff out? Because if you don't, can I just echo Sam's point there? please do. It's hugely meaningful. The stuff that goes out is only relevant to ground control. There's nothing that any of us would be other than proud of, by the way, so or feel that was, you know, this, that, and the next thing. So do push it out. And in terms of LinkedIn best practice, in terms of bang for buck for what we need to do, liking is good, cheering is good, all these things, but it's the repost with the comment and repost with the comment quickly that makes the biggest bang for buck in terms of LinkedIn, making sure that our stuff is at the top of the tree. It's a bit like, think about how Google pushes its stuff up the page. The more we repost with a comment, and within 24 hours, or actually within 2 hours, I think, Sam, is the golden ticket, isn't it? So if you can repost with a comment within 2 hours, that means the stuff that we gets presented in more people's feeds than anything else. So just to reiterate again, Sam, I know you said it, mate, but can I urge you all, golden rule, repost with comment, ideally within 2 hours. And so to answer your question, Justine, what can everyone else who isn't going do? As soon as you see something, repost it, comment on it as quick as you can.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brian. So hopefully we'll see lots of action on LinkedIn next Thursday. Lots of people reposting. If you don't know how to repost, please don't be frightened or intimidated by it. Sam or I can help you. Just reach out. We've all started with LinkedIn. It's a new thing. It's a new technology that's been around for a few years, but it's not been here forever. So there's no shame in not knowing how to post on LinkedIn. We can help you do it. It's really easy once you know how, and there's nothing to be frightened of. So please do share the love and share the ground control. Amplify the voice, so we can make even more of Green Gains this year. Any comments in the comment box, Neil, for us to answer before we disappear?
No, there's not been any through, unless anybody wants to put anything in. We've put the Green Gains link in there.
Wonderful.
And Sam put one about the for Eventbrite as well. So for tickets.
Fantastic.
So
Wonderful.
do go and have a look.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, as always. And Jez will be sending out the email to everybody next week for the next month of our webinars, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, everybody.